What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dylan and this is Vanboy Auto Styling. In today's video, we're going to be looking over installing an aftermarket powered subwoofer into the trunk of my F30. Alright, so first things first, there's going to be a couple things you're going to need to do this install. I've got a little list here I'm going to go through, and if there's anything that throughout the install I realize I kind of missed, I will go ahead and add that into the list in the description, so that'll be down there and that'll be fully updated with everything you definitely need. So the first thing you'll definitely need is obviously a subwoofer. I chose to go the simple route and I got a powered subwoofer enclosure. I'm using a Rockford Fosgate 10-inch powered sub box, I guess you could call it. It's basically shaped almost to the back of a seat, so it can fit nicely up against there. I'll leave a link down to the one that I purchased below. It fits nicely in any kind of car. I actually had this in my Honda Civic, and that car had a tiny trunk, and this thing kind of took up not too much space, so I was still able to use the trunk as well. The second thing you'll need is a sub wiring kit. You can find these on Amazon. You just want to make sure that it has RCA cables, and specifically RCA cables that are split into the positive and negative audio wire as well. So for this sub specifically, it has a connector that splits into the speaker wire. So you kind of need to be able to splice the speaker wire to RCA cables. Again, we'll walk through what all that looks like as we go through. You're also going to need a line output converter. I actually learned about this while reading through forums for this specific car. So in BMWs, there's actually only two stereo options in the US. There's the hi-fi system and then there's the Harman Kardon. Both of those use kind of a strange wattage or something, or voltage or something like that, that you can't just wire it straight in to the sub. You have to use a line output converter to kind of get that output level, I guess, to the right spec for our standard aftermarket subs. You're also going to need some wire splices. I'm using T-connectors because they're pretty easy. You don't really have to cut anything. You just kind of clamp it down onto the wire as is and then plug that in. You'll need some wire strippers just to peel back that plastic around the wires on some of the speaker wires and things we're using. And you're also going to need some electrical tape just to cover up some of the exposed wire. You can also use heat shrinks, you can solder, things like that. I'm just going the basic quick and easy route. What's nice about BMWs is the batteries are in the trunk, so everything is fully weatherproofed and enclosed. So I'm not too worried about just using electrical tape, and everything's not going to be moving around too much back here, so should be pretty safe. All right, so this is what that line output converter looks like. I got mine off of Amazon. I have already got the T-connectors kind of spliced in on here, but when you get it, you'll just have these wires hanging off, and they're already pre-cut to just slip off the extra little bit of wire covering and then add on the connector of your choice. But basically this is going to take the signal from the wires coming out of the factory sub in the trunk of the car and turn it into a signal that aftermarket subwoofers can use, or amplifiers if you want to run an aftermarket amp and then into a sub. So like I said, I've already got this kind of set up with various connectors here that I'm going to be using on the car. This has been a really big job. I've been researching this for probably about a month now, on and off, obviously not just straight researching for a month, but I've been searching YouTube, couldn't really find any install videos that I felt were just straight walkthroughs. And then I was looking through forums, specifically the F30 forum, I think it is called. It's actually on Bmw. It's the F30 thread of Bmw, so f30.bmwpost.com. Everything that I've learned for this install was actually kind of a write-up done by a user going by the name of NateDog07V. I'll put that up on the screen so you guys can see that, but huge shout out to whoever NateDog is. Reading through the forums, nobody had actually really done this simplified version of an install. Everybody had kind of gone to a shop or ran through a specific line output converter to a different type of amp and all this. It was a lot of like roundabout ways of what should be a simple install. So NateDog kind of came in here and just dropped the knowledge, and he got a couple sarcastic responses, but from what I can tell and what he's written up is everything works the way he's done it, so that's the way we're going to do it today. So before going any further, I would definitely give you this warning. do your research on aftermarket amplifier and subwoofer installs. You kind of have to know a little bit of a basic how-to, especially when it comes to the power side of things. Taking a positive signal from your car battery, running that through a fuse, and putting that into your aftermarket amplifier, as well as putting a ground somewhere onto the car. So those are kind of basics as far as car audio installs go. So definitely brush up on that and make sure you're comfortable with that side of things, because this is kind of just adding one more step onto that. It's not hard. Anything with electronics is basically positive, negative. It works in binaries, so there's nothing to be too afraid of. Just definitely watch some tutorials, do your research, and get a feel for everything before you get your hands into the car, especially when we're dealing with things like electricity, because there is a high risk of injury and death even when you're messing with a car battery. So yeah, just be safe. All right, so if you didn't know, in the F30, in the trunk, on the driver's side, there's a little kind of plastic cover right here. If you pull that up, this is actually where the factory amplifier is. So all of your speaker wires are going to come out right here, which is really convenient for, again, doing an install in the trunk. So as you can see, I used this pair of scissors to separate the wires that we're going to be working with. According to Nate Dogg, these are the ones that run to the factory subs that are under the driver's and passenger seats. So let me see if I can get enough light in here. We have a black and red and black and brown twisted together. We have a blue and red and blue and brown twisted together. We've got a brown, a white and red candy cane, and then this grayish black, really skinny wire right here. This one is apparently our remote for the turn on and off. So that's one these are the ones we're gonna be using. Tried my best to get a really good shot of these specific wires for you guys, so you can see exactly which ones to pull out. And they're all kind of right here when you first open this cover, so it's not really any trouble to find them. So got two pairs here for the speakers. The red and white is going to be our positive, the brown is going to be the ground, and then this little black one's going to be the remote. So not too many wires, honestly. And again, if you're using T connectors like I am, all you have to do is clamp on the connector onto these, and then those are going to go into these connectors that we've put onto the line output converter. So give me just a sec. I'm going to go ahead and grab those clamps, get everything clamped onto the factory wires, and I'll rejoin you guys and I'll show you what that looks like all connected up into the line output converter. All right, so at this point the mic that I was using kind of died. I realized this a little bit later, but this is the clip that kind of lost audio. So basically I'm showing you here the T-clamps clamped on to the factory wires there. It was a little tight to get them all in there because everything's kind of wrapped up tightly, but I was able to get them on. And I think basically I'm talking about how I tried to use the colors to kind of coordinate red for positive, blue for negative, and kind of yellow for something else. It doesn't really matter what colors you use, it's just for me, it just helped me stay organized and remember what I was working on. And then here I am showing you the connectors on the line output converter side, and then showing you the instructions here as to where these need to connect to. So you can see there, you can pause here if you need to, how each one of these colors from the line output converter connect to the factory speaker wires, and then the RCA for going to the sub. All right, and just like that, all of those are now connected to the proper factory wires. And then basically the output from the line output converter is going to be into these RCAs. I'm guessing the left side is left and the other side is right, but again, it's going into a subwoofer, or we're mixing down to mono, so it doesn't really matter which is which. So with the Rockford Fosgate, you actually get this little connector here, and this is what takes the speaker signals and puts it into the sub. So it's split up in here, you can see you've got white and gray. What I've then done is taken the RCA cable that came with my subwoofer wiring kit and connected those together. I just used the twist-on hats and then kind of just put it all together with electrical tape just to make it easy to use. So as you can see, these RCAs have inside there, I don't know if you can really tell, but there's actually a positive and a negative, so I was able to wire those up like that. So these connectors then go into the line output converter, and then that is what's going to take that signal and put it into the sub. So I'm going to connect those up, And then all we have to do is get the power wiring in for the sub. So let me connect this, and then I'll grab that other bit of wires, and we'll go on from here. All right, so switching now to the other side of the trunk where the battery is. So you can see here with this Rockford Fosgate, you get this little power connector, and this is what goes into the sub side. And then you use these little screw connectors to screw down your wires. So I've got a black for my ground and a red for my power. That red is then running into what came with the sub wiring kit, and that is a inline fuse, and then got the little hook right here. So I've come over to my battery and I've lifted up the positive terminal side, and as you can see right here, there's already something that is being held down by that little 10mm nut there. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that off. I did go ahead and break it with a ratchet because it was a little tight, and then I'm going to use a 10 to get it off. That is where I'm going to put my connect. And for the ground, I was kind of looking around in here, and I saw on this side right there is actually already a ground for something. So I'll be taking that nut off just a little bit and sliding in my ground as well, and that'll keep everything nice and grounded. So give me a second, I'm going to do that off camera, get those connected up just so I can be really safe. Again, be careful when working around a battery. This can electrocute you, so just be sure of what you're doing, watch some tutorials. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and connect those up, and I'll join you guys again in 1 sec. All right, and we are all connected up there. Got my positive wire nice and clamped down on there, and my ground is connected underneath that nut. That one was actually a 14mm, so it's a 10mm for that positive side and a 14 for this ground over here. So with that is now live, so be careful with touching that now. That's just going to plug into the side of the amp. So I'm about ready to bring the amp into the trunk and just get all these connected up and hopefully make some sound. If we don't make any sound, I'll probably rejoin you guys on another day because I'll be doing more research. All right, so here is my Rockford Fosgate 10-inch sub that I was telling you guys about. As you can see on the side here, it fits perfectly up against the back of the seat, so it's pushed all the way into the back of the trunk, really out of the way, so I have plenty of trunk space in here with it in there. So on the side here are all the connectors. So that's where things are going to get plugged in. So going to plug that power cable in to the bottom there, and the speaker cable into this little socket there. Got two fuses in there already, so let me plug everything up and let's see if we get anything. All right, so I was using a lav mic earlier, clipped onto my shirt, and for whatever reason that just died. So I switched over to a shotgun mic now. But anyway, so I hooked everything up. And the only thing that I was having trouble with was my ground wire was really short and it didn't reach there. That is just because this was pre-cut to my previous car. I really didn't feel like cutting another length of wire, so what I did was just undo that little, there's a bolt right there that goes into something in the back of the car. I took that out, scraped off the paint underneath it just because a ground has to have metal-to-metal connection, and then I just clamped that back up under there. Turned on the accessory mode of the vehicle, and it didn't fire up, so I thought something may be wrong. But looking at this control panel here, you'll see right here there's a couple settings for the auto turn on. You have to have it set to audio. I guess that's just the setting that it needs to be on to work with the line output converter for this specific subwoofer. Sorry if I was really loud, my mouth is almost in the shotgun mic. But anyway, I cut that over to audio, fired right up, no issues. And as you can see, there's a power light right here. It's a blue LED. That is off now. Once I locked the vehicle and everything else turned off, the sub turned off on its own as well. So everything is working beautifully. Nate Dog is a saint. Got everything wired up nicely. I'm going to push this back into its spot. For me, this is going to exist kind of right behind the back seat on the passenger side. And that's because I have a trunk organizer, and it's going to sit kind of in front of that, so this will be nice and tucked away. No chance of the wiring getting pulled out by anyone or anything going in and out of the trunk. I've got this kind of tucked away here. I'm going to do this a little bit nicer up into that corner there, running it under this cover, sticking through the cargo net, and then everything is tucked away under there. It's going to be covered by that cover. The same thing on this side, just the red power wire coming out. Everything's going to be covered by that cover. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything put back in here, and I'll show you guys the clean install. And then maybe I'll jump into the cabin of the car and let you guys hear a little something. Maybe I'll play one of my own songs so that I don't get a copyright claim. So give me just a second, okay? Alright, so that is the trunk post install. You could always get a little bit more picky with things and get these wires nice and covered up. Get them tucked away under the carpet and all, but for me, this is fine. I'm really happy with how this sounds. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the car and let you guys hear from the trunk here. So I'll keep the mic facing away just because it's gonna be very loud, but I'll set this up like this. I'm going to go turn on the vehicle and just play something on my phone. You guys will see the amp power up and make some noise, so give me just a second. Alright, so that is the aftermarket subwoofer install complete. Really happy with how that turned out. Big thank you again to Nate Dogg on the F30 Bmw Post forum. Without him, definitely wouldn't have been able to figure any of that out myself, but it honestly was not that hard as long as you've got the right equipment. And again, the most expensive thing for this was just buying an aftermarket sub or amplifier and sub, whatever you want to use. The line output converter was, I think, like 15 bucks or something like that. A sub wiring kit will probably run you about 30 to 40 bucks depending on how nice of one you get. I'll link everything that I used in the description below. You can probably find it all on Amazon, honestly. But yeah, let me know if you enjoyed this video, if you found it entertaining. Leave a like and consider subscribing. I am still making a lot of F30 content on this channel with the car. A lot of things have changed. It's come a long way from when I got it, that's for sure. Really loving it. Continue to love it every day that I drive it. And now we've got a nice sub in there to listen to when I'm driving around. So yeah, definitely consider subscribing. If you want to support the channel, I do also make car decals and banners. I sell those on Etsy, so I'll link my Etsy shop down below. Give me a follow on Instagram at Vanboy Auto Styling. And thank you for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.